Welcome to the Manx Theatre Podcast.
Come on to the theatre.
Hello, and welcome back to episode 58 of the Manx Theatre Podcast with me, Neil Callan. Thank you to everyone who's listened to our previous episodes. If you're brand new to the podcast, welcome along and thanks for joining us. In this podcast, we like to try and keep you up to date with what's going on in theatre on the Isle of Man, chatting to the cast and creatives of upcoming shows to find out a little bit more about the shows and the people behind them, and also what our Manx born and bred performers are doing further afield.
Coming up on this week's podcast.
I'm joined by Chris and Suzannah Maybury from Yn Draamey Community Theatre ahead of their upcoming production of Candles. You can still listen to all of our previous episodes through all the usual podcast outlets and at manxradio.com/podcasts. Whilst you're there, make sure to give us a like and click subscribe or follow or whatever it is you need to do to make sure you never miss an episode. The podcast has now finally transferred from Google Podcasts to YouTube, so you can now subscribe to the podcast there. You either need to go through the Manx Radio channel or search for Manx Theatre Podcast and you'll find us there, where I am now officially a YouTuber. Well, the summer break is over, and looking at the weather today out the window, it looks like summer is over too. But what a great summer we had. Well, in the theatre anyway. We had two fantastic productions from Two Feathers and Taylorian Productions, which both played to packed houses, with many performances of We Will Rock You seeing the amphitheatre open. And also, the final performance of Jersey Boys selling every possible seat in the house, with the stalls, circle, amphitheatre, the gallery, that's the bit behind the spotlights, and even the slips, the side bits in the amphitheatre, all completely sold out. The view from the stage was amazing. I had an absolute blast performing in Jersey Boys, and it's a show I will remember for a very long time. In fact, I would be happily still performing it 6 nights a week right now, which is 2 months later. Although I'd prefer to be doing it without the need for the day job, and I'm also happy that my beard has grown back. Looking forward to next year, Taylorian Productions will be following We Will Rock You up with Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Over at Two Feathers, however, Alex is keeping his cards very close to his chest for now, and isn't announcing the name of the show. But those in the know think it might be Mamma Mia. But then again, it might be not. Or is it? Well, when Alex lets us know what it is, I'll let you know. Okay, breaking news. So no sooner had I recorded this episode than Alex Toohey goes and announces that next year, Two Feathers will be putting on a production of Little Shop of Horrors. And I believe that Mark Hilton and Tara Overfield Wilkinson, who were the co-directing team on Jersey Boys, will be back again next year. So this is guaranteed to be a fantastic show. Following on from Jersey Boys and We Will Rock You, the All Island Theatre Company gave us High School Musical. Unfortunately, I was unable to see it as I was off the island on holiday, but I've heard nothing but brilliant reviews, and the common comment seems to be that Eve Pazar slayed as Sharpay. Off island, our Manxies have been up to big things. Josh Molyneux has announced that he'll be joining the cast of UK tour of Pirates of Penzance from October through to December, and will be stopping off at London's Wilton Music Hall in November. Anne-Marie Crane will also be off to China shortly, as she joins the touring cast of Andrew Lloyd Webber's Cats, and will be playing the role of Jelly Loram. Now, by the time this comes out, Matt Overfield will have done his final performance in Hello Dolly at the London Palladium, which closed on the 14th of September. And, unless things have changed, he'll be heading back to join Perry O'Dea in the cast of Mrs. Doubtfire, where he'll be cover for a number of roles, including Mrs. Doubtfire herself. Also closing in the last week was Frozen. So, Sam Barks will now, no doubt, be enjoying spending more time with her son Raffi before starting a next project. And when I find out what that project is, I'll let you know. Now, I'm also sure I read somewhere in the last week or so that the London production of Frozen was being recorded before it finished. Now, that production should also be getting streamed on Disney Plus at some point in the new year. Speaking of Disney Plus, Wednesday the 18th of September sees the first 2 episodes of a brand new Marvel series, Agatha All Along, which stars Joe Locke as the mysterious teen. We'll have to tune in each week just to find out how that character arc unravels. Right, in the meantime, make sure you keep up to date with what's going on between episodes by following Manx Theatre Podcast on both Facebook and Instagram, and at Manx Theatre Pod on X, or Twitter as I'm still calling it, and I'm sure everyone else is too. Right, down to business. I'm joined in the studio now by Chris and Suzannah Maybury from Yn Draamey Community Theatre, ahead of their upcoming production of Candles. Chris, Suzannah, welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you.
Nice to be here.
Now, you were both on about this time last year, just ahead of your production of The Witches.
That's right.
That's right, yes. Gosh, is that long ago?
It must be our magic time.
Yes.
I think it was about October, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a great performance. I think I brought either my son or my daughter along, and we both enjoyed it very much.
Glad you did.
Thank you.
Yes.
That's good. That's
Yeah.
a relief, isn't it?
It always is, yeah.
That was an interesting thing because, of course, it nearly happened just before COVID.
Yes.
And we were actually on the stage building the damn sets when they closed the theatre down,
Oh,
which I thought was harsh.
yes. But needs must.
Yes, I suppose. Apparently there was some virus or other. So there we go.
Turned out well at the end because obviously,
Yeah.
it was a bit bigger than just a bit of a snuffle.
Yes, just a touch, and I'm quite rightly everything stops. But yes, and we got a second bite of the cherry, which was fine.
And it seemed to go down quite well.
Yeah. They people liked it. It was more importantly the young people who were in it. Some of whom had never stepped foot on the Gaiety stage, certainly before, found confidence and started exhibiting skills that they didn't know they had,
Yeah.
which was great. It was
Yeah.
fantastic, and suddenly you could see them doing. If I pause just a little bit there, I get a better laugh.
Mm-hmm.
If I just, and now I'll say the line.
Yeah.
And it was that was great.
Yeah.
Watching that development is fantastic.
It's always nice that once you get that audience, especially if you've got a chance to do at least 2 or 3 performances, you get to see different audiences. They go, actually, if I just put that pause here, it gets more of an effect then. If I just hold that a little bit longer, then
Yeah, and it was just little looks to the audience. Just little. There was a lovely bit when two of the actors were carrying a table across, and the mice were resting on the table, and one of the girls who was playing a maid just did a look to the audience, which was like, "Oh God, oh," and then looked back and then screamed, and it was a marvelous moment. It was great.
Wonderful little double take.
Yes, it was super.
And then following that, you went on and you put an entry into the Easter Festival.
Two.
Oh.
Two, I will have you know,
Two.
sir. Two. Yeah, and using young people who had done The Witches with us and stuck with us. And 2 plays, 2 of my plays because I'm cheap. And they went very well. And again, the actors developed and grew, and the adjudicators seemed to like us, and the audience seemed to like us as well. So that was nice. And it sort of led us neatly into where we are now, which was going for something a bit bigger.
Yes. So this year, then, we're back with Candles.
Yep.
And this is, would you call it a play with songs, or is it more of a musical?
I would call it a play with music. Yes. It started out as a play. Apparently, I wrote it. Apparently, the original version was 27 years ago.
Wowzers.
Yeah. I wrote it for an A-level group. So that was 1993, 97.
Yeah.
97. And I wrote it for an A-level group, and they did very well with it. And they also entered it for the one-act play thing, and it won. And it won the junior play, and it also won the adult play, and it won the best actor and all that kind of stuff. And they changed the rules a little bit after that. You couldn't win everything.
Right, okay.
Which was nice of them. And it sat in a drawer for a bit, and then I was looking around for another show at Ballacameen, and dragged this out. Thought this is too good to waste, and teamed up with my colleague Nick Roberts, great musician, and we sat down and wrote. I extended the play. We wrote a whole bunch of songs for it. I wrote the lyrics. He wrote the music, and we did that mainly sitting opposite each other in Bar George.
What better place to do?
That acoustic, I don't know how we did it, but we did all that.
Wine, probably lots of wine.
Well, probably, yes. Cast it, had a stupendous cast.
Yes.
Of people who've gone on to greater and better things.
Thomas Ian Dixon, who was in Jersey Boys just a couple months ago.
Absolutely. Dave Dawson.
Yep. Olivia O'Shea.
Yes. Peter Wicks.
Yes.
Peter Wicks, who just turned up and played the priest for me, and did this marvellous job just nailed it. And only had 2 scenes,
Yeah.
and that was it. And so many people. Manx Radio's Rianne.
Yes, Rhiannon Evans. Yes.
Rianne Evans. Yes, she was there, and it was and Tony Eccles.
Yes.
And so many others, and it was one of those golden moments when everything came together in the right place at the right
Yes.
time, and it was one of those ones. We'll get into what the play's about it a bit, but it's quite a sad thing. And the cast would come to me after every show about them and say, Sir, how many were crying? And I'd say, about 85%. They say, we'll get them all tomorrow, sir. We'll get them all. And it was great.
Yeah, I remember coming to see that production because obviously we had Olivia and David Dawson and possibly even Ian as well, I'm not quite sure. We're involved with the Manx Operatic at the time, so a whole bunch of us from Manx Ops all came down to watch.
I've got a feeling it was JC Superstar that
Yes.
that was on at the time, that we were doing.
About, what, 2005?
Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that, yes. Something like that. And it was, and a whole gang of people from the ops turned up, and that was really nice. It was good. Everyone felt very supported.
Yeah. So Candles then, so it's the story of the Snaefell Mining Disaster of 1897.
Well, and quite an obvious subject for a musical, don't you think?
Yes.
Yeah, you can do Titanic.
Yeah.
And people, when we were writing it, did look at us very oddly, going, "Why?
Yeah.
What's this?" And but it's such an amazing story, and full of heroism and loss and tragedy, but we also built in some light moments of with dance routines, and Suzannah will talk about those in a minute, and young love, but tragic young love, and it's a play that's written mainly from the point of view of the women, the women who are left behind after this horrendous thing that happened, and all caused by a candle that wasn't put out properly in the mine on the Saturday, at the end of the Saturday night shift. There was a dance on the Sunday in Laxey. A load of people went there, and on Monday morning they climbed down into the mine, and they climbed down into a whole bank of carbon monoxide.
And that was it.
Yeah. Spoilers.
I mean, it's about 127 years ago. So I think it's safe to say, like in Titanic, the ship sinks.
Yeah.
So it's a mining disaster.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's things go wrong.
Very wrong.
And I think was it 20 people that died?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And it was which for a community the size of Laxey,
Yes.
it was huge. A really, really big effect. And in fact, the cast, our current cast, have really got off on doing research, their own research into the background of it all. And we have a WhatsApp group.
Yes.
Of course, you have a WhatsApp, and they're pinging stuff backwards and forwards. And characters that I didn't give names to, gossips and friends and stuff like that. I asked them all to people who didn't actually have names, and even if they did, because some of these characters are imaginary. I told them, go away. I want you to tell me about your backstory.
yeah.
Your name, your backstory, why you are the way you are, and all that kind of. And they've all sort of embraced that hugely, and it's been a great. It's been a great learning experience in terms of the acting and putting stuff together, because we have young actors, but we also have a lot of really very experienced older actors, which is nice because we now have a cast that is almost the right age for the parts.
Yeah.
When you do a play in school, you have to take on board the fact that you're going to have a
17-year-old playing a 75-year-old.
yeah. That's what happens. But it's been a great learning experience across the board for everybody, which is what Yn Draamey's about.
Yes. And when you're doing a story that is a real story as well, and it's real people, I think it's always more interesting to get into the history of it and do that research that you probably wouldn't do with a normal sort of big production.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you remember when we did Titanic with the ops, there was an awful lot of research went into that. I mean, I was playing the captain, and I sank it every night. But that's another.
It went down well.
Yeah. Yes. And there was no door, and there was no Jack and Rose. But I did the research into it, and I had not realised that the captain, for instance, that particular captain, came from Staffordshire, which is landlocked.
Right. Yes.
And and worked his way up from being a cabin boy to the captain, and that kind of thing. But that gives more depth to the characterisation.
We've come across a lot of people who are descended from victims.
Yes.
And without getting too morose, that event has affected their family right down to this day.
Oh, yeah.
They never forget it, because it casts such a terrible shadow over that little community.
Yeah.
But the cast, in a really, really lovely way, have embraced the fact that it is a sad story and it's got to be treated with some respect.
Yes.
When they're actually performing, there is a sincerity to it. Even with the very young ones who are not particularly seasoned performers.
Yes.
They've absolutely taken on board the fact that it's a real thing. This is not something made up.
No.
It actually happened, and it's on their island.
Yeah. So it's a nice. They've got a real connection to it as well, haven't they?
They
Yeah.
have.
Yes.
Because they've been those places and they've seen the up Snaefell, and you can see where the mines go in and out, and so it's something that's tangible, I guess.
Yeah, and for some of them, it was like they've been along to the miners' memorial, and of course on a plaque on the wall behind there, the names of the men who died.
Yes.
And we quite deliberately, I quite deliberately created two imaginary families, because I felt that if I'd actually grabbed somebody else's story,
Yes.
there was a huge responsibility in that,
Yes.
and not much leeway for storytelling. So the character of the captain and the doctor, they are there, and they are historically documented. But the family, everybody else, is a conflation of all the families that I researched and looked things up and lifted bits from here and there to try to give the an overall impression of the story and the effect, rather than running into deliberately pulling one person's story out. And perhaps causing, well, as Suzannah was saying, it still has a lasting effect upon the community. So I wanted it to be a memorial, and I wanted it to reflect, but I did not necessarily want it to be grabbing wholesale and cutting from whole cloth the story.
Being respectful to the original
Absolutely.
people involved, yes.
Yeah.
So you're directing again this time,
Yeah.
And is Nick on the keys, is he?
Yes, he is, and he's done what he always does. He's bought himself a new toy. So he has a wonderful new shiny keyboard, and the music is. We came back to the music. He hadn't played the music for 20 years, and we sat down and we listened to it, and you'd never heard it before, had you?
No, but I have to tell you, it's like a song that'll get on your nerves. Once you've heard it, you can't forget it.
A couple of good earworms then, yeah?
Yeah. And we sat down and we sort of played through and we looked at things and we said, oh, this is actually rather good. You know, this is good. And we realised that with our new cast, I needed one more scene, to sort of give everybody something to do, and one more song. So we actually sat down, and with a member of the cast, Rosie, I wrote her some lyrics. She's playing the midwife. I wrote her some lyrics, and she went away and came up with a melody, and Nick's harmonised all of that, and so it's been a real it's been a real collaboration.
Yeah.
This time around. In fact, while we are speaking now, they've actually decided to go and rehearse more.
All right.
Of their own volition. I didn't even force them.
Wow.
The thing is, the play itself is an emotional roller coaster, actually.
Yes.
There are a lot of highs and lows, and that creates a sort of emotional tie with all the people performing it. So although there are some really jolly bits, I mean, there are some actual funny bits,
Yes.
but the story's sad.
Yeah.
And it's kind of beautiful because it makes you realise that these are real people.
Yeah.
And that particularly for our younger performers, they're quite used to doing or impersonating things that are bright and jolly and upbeat.
Yeah.
But to have the opportunity to play parts that are about people that are struck by this is a bit of a gift.
Yeah.
It's not something they usually come across, because people mistakenly think they haven't got the emotional depth.
Yeah.
They really have. They're doing a really good job.
And the lovely thing is, as always happens with companies, they become a family.
Oh, yes.
Become a family, and people will take on various roles within this family. You provide cake.
Yeah, I can do cake.
Always popular with cake.
Yes.
Can't do anything else, but I'm good on cake.
No. But we it's become as theatre folk know, it becomes a community.
Yes.
And already they're starting to think ahead of what happens when the show finishes.
Yeah.
We all know about the post-show downs.
Oh, yes.
And the only cure for it is to find another show.
Exactly, and get straight into it straight away.
Yes. So, and just to let you know, right? So should we do the announcement?
Announce it.
Let's do the announcement.
Okay.
Right. Okay. This is our last show as Yn Draamey.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah. We have, after a lot of backwards and forwardsing with the powers that be, after the show we will be known as the Manx National Theatre.
Oh.
Yeah, swanky or what? Eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. It just puts a hell of a lot more pressure on us to produce good kit.
Yeah.
But we felt it was necessary. We wanted our people to have a feeling of gravitas.
Yeah.
A feeling of this is going to be something really worthwhile.
Yeah.
And leading us into the fact that the major thrust of this is that the week after we finish the show, we go straight into lessons and sessions, and we're going to. The big thing with us is that we are training our young people, our actors of any age. We are giving them training and opportunities to perform, and we're not charging them.
Wow.
That is the crux of the matter.
Yeah.
Right here, and so we're hoping that Candles will be an enormous fundraising event where everybody will turn up and support us. It says here.
But also, if anyone fancies giving it a go, on Saturday afternoons from the age of 7 to 12 in 2 different sessions, there are 2 age splits, but they're doing musical theatre and drama. Same on a Sunday afternoon, but that's age 12 to 16 and 16 and upwards. So there is actually something for everybody. No one pays a penny. It's all supported by local business and by us fundraising like fury.
Yeah. And where do you...
Saturday afternoons is going to be St Matthew's Church Hall, North Quay.
Yeah.
Sundays is Second Onken Scouts Hall in School Road, Onken.
Just next to the Onken Hub.
Yep. And it's just going to be fantastic fun.
Brilliant.
That's why we do it, really.
While we're here, at the moment it's going to be Suzannah and I doing a lot of the teaching. We would really like to find some teachers to come along and give us a hand. The thing is, we're trustees of the
Charity.
Charity, thank you. That's the word I was looking for. That's why why we keep each other around. And we are not allowed to make a penny out of this. That's the way it is. We can employ other people, people with skills, people who feel that they have something to offer. We can employ and at a reasonable rate. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and with cake, obviously.
Yeah, they get paid not only in cake but in money as well.
All right.
And so
You had me at cake, to be honest.
Yeah. if anybody feels that they would like to be involved in that way, please let us know, and we'll give out contact details. There are posters all over the place, but we can be found.
And you're on Facebook as well, aren't you?
Yes,
So
we
they
are.
can contact you through Facebook.
Yeah.
The real point of it is that we want to make it accessible to everybody.
Yeah.
So everyone can have a bite of this, should they so choose. It doesn't matter if they can't do anything, because our job is to teach them.
Yes.
So please, anybody out there who's thinking, oh, well, I'd love to, but I can't, I don't know how to do it, we'll help. We'll do that. That's what our job is. Not least because it's a lot of fun. I mean, what else would we do with our Sundays, you know?
Sleep. Eat cake.
No, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be loads and loads of fun. I really do. We've got quite a lot of people signed up for that already. Yeah. So don't hold back if you want to have a go.
Fantastic.
Just apply.
Yeah. It's a runner. It's a runner. It's going.
Right. Well, just going back to the Onken Scout Hall there.
Yeah.
I was fortunate enough to come up on Sunday afternoon and witness a bit of the rehearsal. And it's quite a big cast, really, isn't it?
Yeah, well, we got 18 on the stage, all kinds of ages. You didn't. There were a couple of people not there. There's always a couple of people not there.
There's always a couple of people not there.
Yeah. But the thing is that once they are on stage, they never leave the stage.
Yes, I remember you mentioned this on Sunday afternoon. Yeah,
they never leave the stage because I want it to be like a series of sepia photographs coming to life. Mm-hmm. I want it's a community thing. I want to see. I want the audience to see all of it all the time. I want them. We are working on. So if the audience lose, as they do, you know what audiences are like. They always look where you don't want them to look. But I want them to be able to look, turn their heads and see something interesting. Maybe not moving, but somebody in character, somebody showing emotion, and we deliberately brought the acting space forward. So we are physically as close as we can get to the audience without falling into the orchestra bit.
Yes.
Because I want people to feel included. I want the audience to be brought into this, and again, I should have done this when we did the show at Bala. I must admit again, I must get a franchise to sell tissues. I could make a fortune. Am I allowed to do that?
He's talking about people crying, just to be clear.
Yes.
Well, it's either that, yeah. Otherwise, there's a lot of dust in the costume.
Allergies. Yeah.
Sorry, I've got to tell you this. We went. Tony Eccles, bless him, can't do the show because he's about to be a dad and all kinds of stuff. And but he let us pop into Bala to see if there were any costumes that we could use. We went to the costume, and I looked around and I said, these are most of the costumes that I used 20 years ago. Yeah. And they've just been hanging on a rail since then. So unfortunately, some of them won't fit our larger and older actors. But it was like, I bought that, I had that made. And it was there were moments of nostalgia going on. And I don't do nostalgia, obviously.
It would be nice, actually, if anyone that was in the original production comes backstage afterwards and introduces themselves, because the younger people are having a bit of a struggle imagining anybody 20 years older than them, because we don't tell them how old we are.
I do, because I'm proud. I survived.
Yeah. Isn't is it Morag in the cast?
She
Morag
is
in it, yes.
And she played in it last time 20 years ago.
She played an incredibly old lady 20 odd years ago when she was an incredibly young lady.
And she's still not old enough to play that part either.
Nope. In fact, the lady we've got playing the part isn't old enough to play that part.
Right.
You have to use the magic of theatre eventually. Don't you?
Suspense the disbelief.
Yes, indeed. Yes.
So whilst we're talking about cast, then let's give us a bit of a rundown of who you've got as best as you can remember.
Well, we've got John Snelling.
Yes.
Oh yes.
Dr. John.
Dr. John, King Arthur himself.
Yes.
Yes, he's playing the captain.
Right.
We've got Chris Yeagus, who is a retired doctor.
Yes.
Who's playing the doctor.
Right. Not typecast at all.
We've got Simon Fletcher.
Yeah.
We've got Jenny Derbyshire. We've got Morag Withy. We've come on.
Chris Shimmin.
Sorry,
Chris
Shimmin. Chris
yeah.
Shimmin, yes, who mainly up to now has spent most of his time backstage or doing backing singing on a microphone backstage. He's I don't think it's his acting debut, but he hasn't been around, been on stage for a long time. We've got
Eloise Barnes.
Yes.
Caroline Mulligan.
Thank you.
Alex Smith. Mary Robert Shaw.
There was Carl Cubban, I remember seeing.
Carl
Yeah,
Cubban's
Carl
in,
was there.
yep.
Yeah.
Addie Estella.
Yes.
Yep.
Do you know, I've done a couple of shows with Addie, and I did Sweeney Todd with him a couple of years ago, and he was just one of the boys in the ensemble, and I heard him sing on Sunday for the first time. I thought, what a lovely voice he's got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant voice. He came along, he sang for us, and I thought, I know what part you're getting, mate. That's fine.
And he's one of the miners, isn't he?
Yes, he plays William, who spoiler gets trapped in the mine with Simon Fletcher, and it's the casting. There were a couple of hiccupy things where people took parts and then said, "Oh no, I can't do it. I'm sorry," or whatever. But the casting was incredibly organic.
Yeah.
People would walk in and open their mouths and I go, "I know who you're playing.
Yeah.
I know exactly who you're playing." And some of them looked quite disappointed because that whole thing. But I said, "No, don't worry, you're in, sorted. I'm with you."
I should point out Richard Waugh has put in an awful lot of work
Yes.
to help this become. But he can't be in it because he's getting married on the day that we're on stage. So,
Rotten timing.
so he's out of it.
Yeah.
he's been assisting, do yeah?
Yes, he's been.
He's
AD,
been a driving force,
Yeah.
actually.
AD producer. He just steps in and he is made of enthusiasm.
Yes.
That's and I've known Richard since year 7. I mean, I taught him all the way through school.
Well, I
Yeah,
can
yeah.
beat that.
Okay.
I taught him when he was 7.
Right.
So there.
He hasn't changed a bit.
No.
Well, the beard's a bit better now, surely.
Slightly less hair on top, more around the chin.
Well, yeah, the head upside down, you know. But no, but he has. Since he came back from Southampton just a couple of years ago, but he has the most amazing network of contacts. He just seems to know everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody, and that's great. And I thought I knew a few people, but the trouble is when you're a teacher, the relationship is different.
Yes.
But Richard, he's got he just walks up to people and says, "You're good at art. Come do artwork for us now."
Yeah.
And they go, "Okay." And we've had some fabulous people helping us with the stuff that you don't like doing, like the program.
I mean, you'll be familiar with this, but there's more people backstage with this production than on it, because we've needed so much help along the way, not only with costumes and makeup and all that stuff, but the program. It's a nightmare.
Oh, it is. It always is.
You know, there's less work in the actual production than there is in that wretched program. But we had a lovely girl called Hannah Saunders, who's actually Hannah. What's her other name?
Was it Hannah Saunders?
No, it's Hannah Saunders.
No, she's Hannah Saunders.
Yeah.
Nick's wife.
Yeah.
Yes.
Who, despite the fact that she was due to have
Just
a baby,
had a baby last week, yes.
she still took it on
Oh, wow.
and got it finished the night before she had the baby.
Well.
So thank you, Hannah.
She got the programme finished so she could have the baby then, yeah?
Well, totally.
Well, yeah. And we told her she wasn't allowed to have the baby until she'd finished the programme.
Yes.
That's a joke, by the way. I'm really not that mean.
I'm editing that bit out.
Okay.
So we alluded earlier, Susanna, that your role was you created some dances through the play?
Yes, but they're fun dances. We
Yeah.
didn't want anything that looked like a chorus line. We just wanted a lot of people on stage at a dance having a really lovely time.
Yeah.
So there is nothing perfect about it. It's just that they get on there and they go bananas like a bunch of people who are slightly tipsy, and just having a few laughs.
And that's a Kaylee or something,
Yeah.
something like that. So.
Because a big part of that is the contrast
Yes.
between that and what comes next. So you have to have the light.
You have the high before the low.
Yeah. And to demonstrate that, they were a community that were very, very close.
Yeah.
And connected.
I deliberately wrote it so that the timeline isn't straight ahead.
Yeah.
It jumps backwards and forwards. So we go back to the dance, and then we go back into the mine, and then with this, just so that you can't depress your audience for the entire show.
No.
They run out of depression. You have to let them off the hook, as you were saying, let some light and shade. You have to let them off the hook, and then you can plunge them back into the depths of despair after that.
And then there's the mega mix dance routine at the end to send them out with a happy.
Yeah, we're throwing the candles away, getting the glow sticks out, and we're going for it.
Send them out with a smile.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's about us, actually. So you're playing the Gaiety Theatre on Friday the 20th and Saturday the 21st of September. Performances at 7:30pm.
It's 7 o'clock.
It's 7 o'clock.
Oh, 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
Thank you.
Yeah, 7 o'clock. I know we get people who run on Manx time and turn up 15 minutes after the curtain, but that'll be 45 minutes too late, and that's the first half gone.
Yes. No, that happened to me earlier this year. I can't remember which show it was now, but we were going along for a 7:30 start and found out it started at 6:30. So we kind of got in for the last 10 minutes of the half and then watched the second half.
Oh.
As you do.
Yes.
We've all been there, haven't we?
Yes.
We were invited guests and we were like, yes, it's 7:30 as usual. Okay. And then no one had said, oh, actually, no, it starts at 6:30. It was like, no.
That's a bit awkward, isn't it?
But it was, at least it wasn't a musical that we'd missed half of the story. It was the community jukebox.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
So it was that show. So although we had missed half the show, we didn't
but you
miss
get
out on
away
the
with
story.
that,
Yeah,
couldn't you?
we got away with it. Yeah.
No, that's not so bad, is
Yeah,
it?
the governor did take the mickey though, obviously.
Of course. Of course. Yeah.
He has to have some fun.
Right, okay.
Thank you
Thank you very much.
So way back in 2020, after the first lockdown, we set up the Manx Theatre podcast playlist on Spotify. The idea being to set up the ultimate musical theatre playlist. So Neil King, who was my co-presenter at the time, we each put 10 songs together, and these are songs from shows that we've either been in, songs that we've performed, or just songs from shows that we love. Or something or a song possibly that means something very special to us. So we put this list together. So we started off with 20 songs because no one wants to listen to a playlist with 2 songs. Mm-hmm. It's a very short and very boring playlist. And then every guest who's been on the podcast since then has added a new song to the list. Now, you've both been on before and you did add a song last time, but I'm feeling generous because it's the summer. I've had my summer break and I'm in a good mood. So I'm going to allow you to add another song. So, Chris, what is your song and why?
Well, the song is "Falling Slowly" from the show Once. Now, I did Once a couple of years ago, I think. Yeah, and had a marvellous time being an actor musician on stage. Great cast. I had a great time, and it's been among my favourite songs ever since.
And is it one you said that you've added to your personal playlist when you're out performing?
I take it out and I play that one. I also do another song called Gold from that musical because they get into your soul.
Yeah,
they get into, and they're also quite nice to play on guitar or bouzouki.
Yeah. Fancy.
Yeah. I'm that's the kind of guy I am. I'm sort of either English or Greek at the same time, and Irish.
Suzannah, what song would you like to add?
Springtime for Hitler, because it's very, very jolly.
Oh, yes.
And you can do spring kicks to it in the kitchen.
Marvellous.
Which is my only criteria.
Any kind of song, as long as you do spring kicks to it in the kitchen.
Yep.
Perfect. And Springtime for Hitler from Producers is a perfect song for that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we'll get those added to the playlist, of which there is now 103 songs on that playlist, so it's somewhere in the region of about 7 hours now. So there's plenty to keep you going on a long drive down the M6 motorway.
Oh no, we'll have to go down the M6.
All right, I'll do that. You're driving.
Excellent, or not.
Okay, so as I said before, Candles is playing at the Gaiety Theatre on Friday the 20th and Saturday the 21st of September with performances at 7pm.
Mm-hmm.
If you've not done so already, make sure to get your tickets from villagaiety.com or by calling 600 555. Chris, Suzannah, thanks for joining me again on the Manx Theatre podcast, and wish you and everyone involved at Yn Draamey Community Theatre all the very best for Candles.
And thank you
Thank you very much.
And we'll speak to you again soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
You're listening to the Manx Theatre podcast with Neil Callan.
Right, coming up on the island in the next few months, we have the musicals in concert from Stage Ed at the Ville Marina on Sunday the 13th of October. This will be Stephen Palfreyman and his West End friends bringing you numbers from some of theatre's biggest shows, along with performances from their summer school kids. The following week, from the 19th to the 26th of October, Centre Stage Productions will be rocking the Gaiety once more with their production of School of Rock, which sees Joey Wilde playing the lead role of Dewey Finn, that's Jack Black in the movie, and a talented cast of kids who will be playing their instruments live on stage every night. In November, the Service Players will be bringing Clue to the stage of the Gaiety from the 14th to the 16th. The play is an adaptation of the 1985 film of the same name, which starred Tim Curry and Christopher Lloyd. The film and play itself are both based on the board game Cluedo, which in America was known as Clue. Also in November, from the 20th to the 23rd, Parker Snell are bringing a dramatic production of Les Miserables to the Gaiety Theatre. Now this is a dramatic production and is not the musical, so don't expect to be leaving singing One Day More. Then, before we know it, it's Christmas again, and Stage Ed are back with Dick Whittington at the Gaiety from the 20th to the 31st of December. Now, there are a few other things going on smaller venues around the island, and I'll let you know about them in the next episode. Looking forward to 2025, we have productions of Chicago from the DCU, Everybody's Talking About Jamie from Manx Ops, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory from Taylorian, Little Shop of Horrors from Two Feathers, and Titanic from Centre Stage. Also, Stage Door Entertainment will be bringing a production of Calendar Girls to the Gaiety in early summer. Well, with that, we bring episode 58 to a close. Thanks once again to Chris and Suzannah for joining me in the podcast, and we wish them and everyone involved with Candles all the very best for their run. Don't forget to check out the Spotify playlist by searching for Manx Theatre Podcast, and that's all one word. There's over 100 tracks there now, and over 7 hours of show tunes to satisfy your musical theatre needs. If you have any events that you'd like us to talk about or promote on a future episode, you can contact me through our social media accounts or by email to manxtheatrepodcast@gmail.com. All that remains is to say thanks for listening, and I hope you join me again next time. I've been Neil Callan, and you've been listening to the Manx Theatre Podcast. Goodbye.
The Manx Theatre Podcast, taking a look behind the scenes of Manx Theatre.
Actors alive for me.